All right, let's make our way down to our backs to start. So when you're ready, get yourself on your mat and just recline down onto your back. You could give your knees a hug into your chest. And maybe a little rock from side to side. Just starting to take a few deep breaths here. You could even close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. Maybe a couple deep sighs. Breathe in the mouth and kind of sigh out the mouth. Breathe in the nose and sigh out the mouth, I mean. And starting to feel heavy through the neck and through the shoulders and the chest. You can now allow your hips to be really heavy and really relaxed. And kind of moving your knees around in any way that you need, whether that is like stirring a circle, maybe moving your knees in a circular motion, kind of massaging out your low back. You could do that in both directions. Maybe taking a happy baby. You could take a gentle happy baby version where you're just separating the knees. The heels are still close to the hips, and you can grab a hold of the ankles. Or maybe full happy baby, lifting the bottoms of the feet up toward the ceiling. So here, just finding a rhythm for your breath that you can hopefully take with you and can continue on throughout the practice, maybe even the day. Just taking a few more breaths right here. And then set your body up so that your knees are bent. Your knees are going to be stacked over your hips, so bring your knees together, heels together. And bring your shins so that they are parallel with the ground. Open your arms out into a T. And then take an exhalation and let both of your knees fall to the right. They don't have to come all the way down to the ground, but just let them fall in the direction of the right. And then inhale, bring them back up. And exhale, drop your knees to the left. Again, they don't have to touch the ground. They might just hover over the ground, and then inhale, bring them back up through center. And do this a few more times. Exhaling, dropping both of your knees to the right. Inhaling to pick them back up. Exhaling, dropping to the left, and so on. Like that. So just farther establishing this connection between your body and your breath. And try to slow everything down. So see if you can slow down. So you're increasing the length of your inhales and your exhales. And that might mean that you're moving quite slowly, dropping your knees slowly from side to side, kind of as your breath naturally moves. Okay, do this a couple more times to both sides. So your knees will drop a couple more times on both sides. And then give your knees another hug into your chest. When you're all done. Okay, maybe another little rock there if you like, from side to side or even up and down. And then eventually roll onto your right hand side in a fetal position. You guys know where we're going. Just hang out in a fetal position. Take a few breaths, just hugging your knees into your chest, using your bottom arm as a pillow for your head. Another opportunity just to check into your body. You know, what areas of your body are feeling tight or sticky or stagnant. And then go ahead, press yourself up to your hands and your knees. Find yourself in a tabletop position. So you're lining up your wrists underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. And then just start to move through a few rounds of cat and cow. So again, attaching your breath to this movement. So as you inhale, the belly will drop and the gaze will lift. Exhaling, pushing your knees, pushing your palms into the mat. Rounding through the upper back, even gazing towards your belly button. Feeling that opening across the shoulder blades. And then inhale, belly drops, gaze lifts. So really kind of enjoying this extra length, that extra space through the spine as you find either extreme of this movement. Just a couple more rounds through cat and cow. And then bring your big toes together to touch. Let's widen the knees to the edges of the mat and sink the hips back to the heels, bow the heart down. So taking a child's pose here. And you could allow the forehead to come down if it can reach something solid. If your forehead can't reach something solid, maybe stacking your fists one on top of the other so that your forehead can come down. Okay, and then inhale, come back up to a tabletop position. Tuck your toes, send your hips up and back to downward facing dog. So especially for this first downward facing dog, feel free to pedal the knees, kind of sway through the hips as you need, starting to just peel the body open, kind of breath by breath, opening up the back line of the body. And then we're going to sweep the right heel up toward the ceiling. So take an inhalation, and as you inhale, the right heel will sweep up toward the ceiling. Stay there and breathe. You might even choose to drop the left heel down a little bit closer to the mat. So you're feeling that a little bit of a stretch along the calf. You're pushing into your palms to lift the right heel even higher. Take one more breath in, and then exhale, bend through the right knee, plant the right foot between the palms, and drop the back knee down. Untuck the back toes, and take a breath in to lift up to your low lunge. So find Anjalayasana or low lunge. Starting to draw the right hip back, bring the left hip forward a little bit as you lift up through the fingertips. And again, always if you arrive here and you're like, my shoulders are bunching into my ears, just cactus the elbows out. Inviting a little bit more space. Good. Take an exhale to fold and plant your palms. Bring both of your palms to the inside of the right foot, and maybe heel toe the right foot out a little bit wider. And then we'll tuck our back toes and lift the back knee up. And then your choice to kind of stay here and just think about lengthening out through the entire body here. Or if you're going on, we're going to start to walk the fingertips forward. So literally just walking your hands forward and in front of your toes, kind of reaching forward, forward, forward as much as we can, thinking about becoming as long as we can while still pressing into the ground through our fingertips. And then here, once you arrive in this like farthest extent of your posture, breathe. Breathe here, in and out. Feel the belly expand and contract as you breathe. Really press down through the center of the right foot. Good. And then if you've walked forward, come back, plant your palms back underneath the shoulders. If you have blocks, maybe grab your blocks at this point. And then you have another choice here. You can stay and breathe, or maybe drop down to your elbows if there's more space here. And just really making sure that your right knee is stacking right over top of your right ankle. And then always, if we arrive in a certain position and we notice that our breath is no longer smooth, maybe back off a couple of steps, even dropping that back knee can help. Come back to that smooth, easy breath. Okay, from here, let's use the palms, pressing into the palms to lift back up if we've bowed down. And then we're going to step the left foot to the top of the mat to meet the right. So go ahead and step up. And we'll meet in a malasana or yogi squat. Okay, so if you have a block or a pillow and malasana is not accessible to you, you can use that as a seat for your bum. And literally just take that to sit on. If not, you're hanging out in malasana here, really pressing the outer arms into the inner knees and using that to find more traction here. Lifting up through the crown of the head, dropping the pelvis, the hips down. Just notice what your shoulders are doing. You want to kind of pull your heart forward and through your upper arm bones. Okay, just take a few more breaths. And then plant your palms, and we're going to step the right foot to the back of the mat. You can drop the back knee when you get there. Untuck the back toes. And go ahead, lift yourself up to your low lunge when you arrive. So again, we'll be here for, 3 to 5 breaths. So you can find any sort of variation through the arms that feels the best. Maybe you're bringing your hands to your hips. Your fingertips could be reaching up or cactus out through the elbows for more of a broad, expansive sensation. Good, take one more breath in here. And then exhale, let's plant our palms, both of our palms to the inside of the left foot. You might choose to heel toe that left foot out a little bit wider. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee up. And then here's where we come into that plethora of options. You can stay here and breathe. You could drop the back knee back down, or you might choose to walk your hands out in front of you. And you can do so slowly, kind of slowly finding the extent of this posture for you today. So it might mean just kind of inch by inch walking out farther and farther. And then lengthen through the body as much as you can, finding so much length from the crown of the head all the way back to the right heel. Always coming back to your breath. Good. Start to walk your palms back underneath the shoulders. And again, choose to stay here. You could drop the back knee. And then you could also bend through the elbows to come down a little bit more. And then in this variation, think about keeping that left knee really glued to the left bicep, left shoulder. Okay. From here, start to press into your palms, lift the heart back up. And then again, we're going to step up to the top of our mat with the right foot. So maybe it takes a couple steps to get there. No problem. Find Malasana again. So come back to your yogi squat. Toes pointing out, heels turned in slightly. Knees are tracking over the toes. And breathe here. Good. Take one or two more breaths. And then slowly come all the way up to stand. So press into your feet, come all the way up to stand. Good, and just bring your feet underneath your hips again. And come into mountain pose or Tadasana. Just using this opportunity to check back into your body. Literally do a scan from your head all the way down to your toes. Okay, and then step back with one of your feet. So it doesn't really matter which foot you step back with. So you're turning all 10 toes to face the long end of your mat. So hips are opening to the side, yeah. And turn your toes in slightly. Heels will come out just a little bit. So you're just slightly pigeon-toed. Good. And then open your arms out into a T position and really expand out in this 5-pointed star. Good. Okay, and then bring your hands to your hips and take a little micro bend through your knees. Hinge at your hips. Send your bum back. Reach the crown of your head forward. And then plant your palms underneath your face. Plant both of your palms underneath your face. Okay, and bring the left hand kind of right in the center. And then take an inhalation and sweep your right hand around and up toward the ceiling, stacking your shoulders, maybe gazing up at that top hand. Okay, stay here and breathe. That right hip might want to kind of follow this action, so see if you can pick that right hip up and press it back. Okay, gaze down and switch sides. The right arm will plant. Take an inhalation, sweep the left hand around and up. And same thing here, just watch what the hips are doing. You know, if I were to come behind you and place a martini glass on your pelvis, on your sacrum, it wouldn't spill. Okay, gaze down. Plant both of your palms. Take an exhalation to bring your hands to your hips. And then inhale, come all the way up to stand. Good, so again, expand out through the arms. Take a big breath in. And then as you exhale, most of us have done this during our Saturdays before, but as you exhale, plant your left hand down, reach the right arm up. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, right arm plants, left arm reaches high. Inhale, come back up. And just move like this from side to side. Good. Keeping the arms expanded as you move. You know, every time you press the palm or you drop the palm down to the floor, see if you can do so with so much attention and intention that it just kisses the floor every time. You know, you're not falling into the floor. There is a certain amount of control that you're moving with. Good. So do one or two more on both sides. One or two more on both sides. There's no rush. Okay, and then come back up. You can bring your hands down to your hips. And then just turn, let's say your left toes. So all 5 toes of the left foot are gonna face the small end of your mat. And then go ahead and bend into the left knee, set up for Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana B. So the front knee does not have to be 90, it could be more like 45. Stack your shoulders right over top of your hips and then expand out through the arms. And then traditionally, you might rest your gaze on the nail of your middle finger of the front hand. Or just find one, point in front of you to gaze. Good. Good. We'll move into Exalted Warrior from here. So as you inhale, lift the left fingertips high, drop the right arm down, the length of the right leg. Keep everything else the same. You're just tipping the heart up. And then exhale back to Warrior 2. Bring your hands to your hips, straighten through the left knee, and switch sides. So the left toes might turn in a little bit, and the right toes turn out. As you're ready, find yourself Warrior 2, same position, opposite side. And take a peek that you can see the big toe of your front foot. You might have to just guide that right knee out a little bit more so that you can actually see the big toe. And then take an inhalation, come into Exalted Warrior. Feeling an opening all the way down the right side of the body. Good. On an exhalation, come back to Warrior 2. Bring your hands to your hips, straighten through that front knee, and step up to the top of your mat. Good, so coming back to Tadasana, mountain pose. We'll take 3 breaths here. Letting your pelvis, your legs, and your feet be really heavy. And finding this sense of levity, of lightness through the spine, through the shoulders, and through the crown of your head. Okay, as you're ready, take an inhalation, sweep your fingertips around and up, gaze up. And then exhale, fold over your legs, so come into Uttanasana. Take an inhalation to lengthen out halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. So the spine is parallel with the ground now. Exhale and fold. Do that 2 more times, coming up halfway with an inhalation. Exhaling, folding. 1 more time like that. Good, let's plant our palms. Step the right foot to the back of the mat. Drop the right knee down. As you're ready, take an inhalation, find low lunge, Anjaneyasana. We won't be here for too long. So on your next exhalation, fold. Plant your palms, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, step back to a downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, you have a few options. You can stay here and breathe. Will be about 3 breaths. You could drop your knees down to the mat, or you could cycle through a vinyasa, coming forward to a plank, exhaling to lower down to hover, inhaling to lift up, upward facing dog, exhale, downward facing dog. So a few options there. And then we'll meet in a downward facing dog in the next breath or 2. So go ahead, make your way there. From your downward facing dog, sweep your right heel to the ceiling. And again, kind of stay there for a moment, reaching that right heel as high as you can toward the ceiling. And then bend through the right knee and start to reach the right knee up really high toward the ceiling. So the right big toe might start to drop down on the left side of your body. You might even be able to see the right foot big toe kind of underneath the armpit of the left side. Good. Keep reaching that knee high. And then slowly start to drop that right foot down, closer and closer and closer to the mat until the foot comes down. The right hand is going to free away from the mat. And then we're going to pivot and press into our feet. Lift the hips really high and come into wild thing. So continue to press the hips really high and reach up and back through the right fingertips. Good, let's come back. So do so slowly, kind of coming into a side plank, bringing that right hand down, lifting that right foot up, and then set the right foot down beside the left. Good, let's come down to our knees and take a child's pose, Balasana. Good. So if we haven't done Wild Thing before, it could be a little bit like confusing for the body. But the good news is that we have a second side to do. Okay, so as you're ready, start to lift yourself back up to a tabletop position. And we're just gonna play around with Wild Thing on the second side from here. Okay, so start to press into your toes, lift your hips up and back, and maybe you don't come into Wild Thing, you know, maybe you're just playing with lifting that left foot high and maybe bending through the knee, and maybe this is as far as you get. Okay? And if you're going on, then you're lifting that left knee high, bending through the knee, kind of opening up the hips here. And then slowly just allowing that left foot to drop down closer and closer and closer toward the ground until your left hand naturally frees away from the mat. Okay, both of the feet are gonna land, and then just press into the heels. Lift the hips really high and reach back through the left fingertips. Okay, let's come back to a three-legged dog, and then set the left foot down beside the right. And drop down to your knees, and come back to a child's pose. Okay, so go ahead and come up to a tabletop position once again. And if you feel up to it, we'll move through one more round of this Wild Thing on both sides. Okay, so that we'll kind of join the two sides together so we won't have a break in between. And again, you can hang out in downward facing dog, you can play with your three-legged dog instead, or you can move through Wild Thing. So I'll cue us through it. So go ahead, press up to a downward facing dog. Lift one of your legs, let's say the right leg high. Lift your right leg high. Bend through the right knee and open up the hips. Stack the hips and lift that right knee really high. Okay, slowly start to drop the right foot down. The right hand is going to come away from the mat. Press into both of your feet. Lift the hips really high. Kind of lift the heart high. Lift the heart up and back. Yes. Nice. Okay, let's come back. Find your three-legged dog once again. And then set the right foot down beside the left. Nicely done. We'll come into the other side right away. So lift the left heel high. Bend through the left knee, lift, stack the hips and lift that knee high, high, high toward the ceiling. Okay, from here, slowly let the left foot drop down, inch by inch. Your feet will eventually plant, and then press into your heels, lift your hips up really high, reach up and back through the left fingertips. Nice, Christine, beautiful. Okay, let's come back, find three-legged dog. The hand will plant, the foot will lift, the hips will square. And then set both feet down. Good. Come into a child's pose. Drop your knees down. Let your hips find your heels. Heavy through the heart. Let your forehead come down. Okay. Let's pick up the head and the heart a few inches away from the mat and walk both of your palms to frame the left knee and then bow back down. Press into the left palm to make the right hip really heavy. an inhalation, walk both of your palms, or lift your head and your heart up, and then walk both of your palms to frame your right knee. Exhale to bow back down. Okay, walk both of your palms in through center, and we'll just bow down in center for a breath or two. Okay, take an inhalation, come up to a tabletop. And we're just gonna take our low lunge. A long time ago, we did a low lunge on the left side. So we're gonna do it on the right side from here. So go ahead, plant your right foot between the palms. You might have to walk that left knee back if you're really tall. And then go ahead, lift your fingertips high. You might find your hips, maybe cactusing out. And just hang out in your low lunge. We'll take about 3 breaths here. Find a certain amount of length through your low back. Okay. As you're ready, take an exhale, fold, plant your palms. Let's tuck the back toes. We'll lift the back knee up and step back to your downward facing dog. Okay, from your downward facing dog, take an inhalation, come forward to a plank. You can take your plank from your toes, or you can drop down to your knees. And we'll just be here for 3 breaths. So gazing just in front of your fingertips, about 1.5 feet in front of your fingertips. Okay, and then lower all the way down to your belly. You can feel your elbows brush along your ribs as you lower. Good, so we'll move through, I don't even know what to call it, but you guys have done it with me before. So gaze over the left shoulder and let the right cheek come down to the mat. And then bring both of your hands to rest over your sacrum. So your palms are facing up. And orient your palms so that the right palm is over top of the left. Let's gaze over the right shoulder. Gaze over the right shoulder. And then as you inhale, sweep the right hand around and up. Your heart will lift up. Your gaze will kind of follow that right hand. And then exhale, sweep that right hand back to its original position as you gaze over the left shoulder and drop your head down. Okay? So, Derek's like, what was that? So we'll do it a couple more times, and I promise it gets easier. It's also super hard to explain. So press the tops of your feet into the mat, and then as you inhale, sweep the left hand around and in front. Your heart is going to lift, gazing in front as your fingertips sweep forward. And then as you exhale, sweep the left hand back and gaze over the right shoulder. Good, I'll walk us through a few more rounds. So inhale, sweep the right hand around and in front, gaze up. And then exhale, sweep the right hand back, gaze over the left shoulder. Good, moving to the opposite side. Inhale, sweep the left hand around and in front, gaze forward. Exhale, sweep that left hand back, gaze over the right shoulder. Okay, so go ahead, move yourself through a few more rounds of that on your own time. And this is a movement where you're really synchronizing your movements with your breath. So Penny, as you sweep your left hand back, you don't have to gaze back to the left. You can gaze right away to the right. Does that make sense?
Maybe.
I know, it's a lot of right and left. Okay, and then here, gaze left. Yes, nice. So think about all that shoulder rotation, all of that lift from all the muscles that support your spine. All those muscles are doing the work. So let's say another 2 more rounds on both sides. So you'll do 4 more rounds in total. Okay, and then when you're all done, just stack your palms one on top of the other in front of your face and let your elbows come wide and just rest your face on your stacked palms. Let your forehead come down and maybe wiggle your hips a little bit. Wiggle your hips from side to side. Let your heels kind of wiggle as your hips wiggle. Okay, and then bring your palms underneath the shoulders. And press into your palms, press into your knees, come up through a tabletop, and then sink the hips back to the heels, take child's pose. Okay, from here, start to walk the palms toward the knees, coming to sit up. Move the heels off to one side, hips off to the other, and just swing your feet around and in front of your body. Okay, let's set the hands behind the low back. Take the heels really wide. And just tip your knees from side to side a few times. So here, peel the toes back toward the shin. So peel the toes back toward the knee. So you're engaging a little bit through that knee joint. Okay, and then let's take Janu Shirsasana on the right side. So bring your left foot into the inner thigh, into the inner right thigh. And take your hands and just place them on either side of that right leg. Literally turn your heart so that it's over top of that right leg. And there could be a little micro bend in that right knee at least, if not maybe more. And then lift up through your spine. So lengthen through your spine, lift up through the crown of your head as you inhale. And then exhale, just hinge at your hips and start to come forward a little bit. So your fingertips might start to walk toward closer and closer to that right foot. Every inhale is an opportunity to find more length through your spine. Every exhale, folding a little bit deeper. Maybe you just find a centimeter or so more depth. Inhaling for length, exhaling to deepen. Also notice that if you're surrendering your shoulders, try to keep a broadness across the chest, across the collarbones, and hinge from the hips to come forward. Okay. Take one more breath here, and then slowly come up. You can use your hands to help you lift up, and we'll switch sides. So extend the left foot out, left leg out, bend through the right knee, bring the right foot to the inner thigh. And then same thing here, plant your palms on either side of your left leg and turn your heart to actually face that left leg. You might even choose to kind of reach around and grab the flesh of your bum and literally pull the flesh of your bum back and out of the way. That can help to find a forward tilt of your pelvis. And then here, just bowing down as you see fit, working with your breath to find more depth. Okay, start to lift yourself up and out. And bend through the left knee. Let's bring our knees together. And then here, we're gonna make our way down to our backs. So if you have like props nearby that you might want to use for Shavasana, you can grab those now, whether it's like pillows or an extra pair of socks or a sweater or something like that. And then make your way down to your back. We'll take one more kind of hip opening here before we settle into Shavasana. So make your way down to your back. Give your knees a hug into your chest when you arrive. And then bring your left foot down to the mat so that the left knee is bent and the left knee is pointing up to the ceiling. Cross your right ankle over top of the left thigh. We'll take reclined figure 4. If this is enough, stay here. If you'd like to go on, you're lifting the left foot away from the mat and reaching your hands kind of through that needle eye that you see that we've created with our legs. You can interlace your fingers somewhere along that left leg, either behind the thigh or maybe reaching around, grabbing the knee. And just kind of pulling that left leg, left thigh closer towards your nose. Be mindful here not to, as we're pulling that left foot toward our nose, let's try to keep the hips heavy. So drop the pelvis down, even press the tailbone into the mat a little bit. And then, you're bringing the right ankle towards your nose, but see if you can press the right knee away. Press the right knee away as you bring the right foot closer. Take one more full breath in here. And then exhale, let all the air come out. Let's drop the left foot back down to the mat. Uncross the right ankle from the left thigh and switch sides. So again, as you come into this posture, keep your hips heavy. One more breath here. Use an exhale to drop the right foot back down. Uncross the left ankle from the right thigh. And again, take the heels really wide. So even wider than your hips, maybe even wider than your mat. Open the arms out into a T position. And go ahead and drop both of your knees to the right. Drop both of your knees to the right and let your gaze drop over the left palm. Bring both knees up through center and switch sides. So we're just going to move into Shavasana from here. So if you're ready for that, go ahead, just extend all of your limbs out long. If you have the ability to place something underneath your knees, give your knees some support, you could do that. Otherwise, just extending out long, taking up a lot of space if you have it. You can flip your palms open toward the ceiling. And just allow every muscle in your body to release. Fully surrendering the weight of your body into the ground. And for the next 3 minutes, just take some rest, and I will come and get you in a few minutes. start to come back to your breath. And as your breath begins to deepen, start to find some movement back into your body. You can start very slowly with a few wiggles of your fingertips and your toes. Maybe rolling out your wrists and your ankles. Just doing anything that feels really good here to bring some movement back into your body. Maybe if you have the space, you're reaching your arms overhead and pointing your toes to take this like full long body stretch. Maybe hugging your knees into your chest, giving yourself one final hug, one final squeeze. And eventually make your way to your right side, land in a fetal position. Take a few deep breaths here. And then as you make your way to your seat, again, do so with a sense of intention. You know, make every movement kind of count as you make your way up to your seat. You could even try to keep your eyes kind of closed and make your way up to your seat. And here, just taking a moment to honor ourselves, whatever that means to you. Honor yourself for a few moments. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thanks, Genessa.
You're very welcome.